Carl Minzner, End of an Era, How China's Authoritarian Revival is Undermining Its Rise. Discover the unanticipated turn of China's political and economic evolution in the book summary of End of an Era, How China's Authoritarian Revival is Undermining Its Rise, by Carl Minzner. Once predicted to transform into a Western-style democracy and economic powerhouse, China now faces a reversal of its democratic progress as it enters an age of increased repression and declining growth. This summary delves into the hurdles of China's shift from its earlier trajectory, the events leading to its authoritarian resurgence, and the challenges it poses to the economy, social mobility, and political stability, all while exploring the impact on China's relations with the United States.
China's democratic recession. China's transformation into a Western-style democracy is no longer a possibility. The political and economic reforms that were explored in the late 20th century have stalled, and the promise of an open society governed by the rule of law has receded. Under the rule of Xi Jinping, China has experienced a democratic recession, and the country has returned to Mao-era treatment of dissidents. State officials, journalists, and lawyers are forced to make public confessions, and social media and free press crackdowns have been implemented to increase authoritarianism. Xi's primary concern has been increasing his own power, resulting in the establishment of Xi Jinping thought as the law of the land. Even though Xi has not staged Mao-style rallies yet, an economic crash or a conflict in the South China Sea might test his ability to retain power, thus leading to him following in Mao's footsteps. China's oppressive regime. China's current political situation is a result of the Communist Party's suppression of democracy protests in Tiananmen Square in 1989. The party rules with an iron fist, silencing any form of dissent and leaving the population with limited options. This repression has led to sporadic outbursts of violence, which the government responds to with more oppression. Higher education in China has become a luxury, divorced from its traditional role as a tool for social mobility. Beijing's crackdowns have led to erratic and desperate responses from the public, with many turning to extreme measures to express their anger. Despite Westerners seeing such outbursts as a sign of budding democracy, they instead illustrate the lack of avenues for peaceful protest in China. China's economic rise and decline. For 3 decades, China experienced a rapid economic growth averaging 10% per year, which transformed the country into a model of prosperity. However, the regime's concentration on shutting down political dissent and expanding state monopolies during the Hu Jintao years led to a lost decade and hindered effective economic reforms. The current situation is worsened as the industries and investments that once drove China's economic rise continue to weaken, leading to an overall slowdown in growth. Although China has made progress in reducing poverty, income inequality is now on par with that of the United States, Africa, and Latin America. China can no longer promise a more prosperous future for everyone, and this underscores the fact that advancement eludes many. China's college bubble. Over the past few decades, higher education in China has become more accessible to a wider range of students. The number of college graduates has risen, reaching nearly 7 million per year in 2015. However, the value of a college degree has decreased significantly as the job market is unable to absorb such an influx of graduates. In addition, the growth of the higher education sector has led to a corresponding need for professors to publish papers, which has resulted in a black market for phony academic papers. As a result, students are choosing to continue their studies and obtain master's degrees to stand out in the job market, even traveling to the United States to complete their education. While this trend may benefit U.S. colleges, it is a worrying sign for the Chinese economy's future. Aging population and China's one-child policy. China's aging population and the one-child policy are affecting the economy. Local governments received payouts for meeting fertility restrictions, leading to selective abortion practices and skewed gender ratios. The one-child policy was not officially changed until 2016. By 2050, 25% of China's population will be elderly, increasing strain on the national pension plan. Religious tolerance in China. China has shown tolerance towards various religions including Judaism, Mormonism, Buddhism, and Protestantism, but still suppresses Falun Gong. While this crackdown has succeeded in preventing religious agitators, it has also led to a dangerous opposition group. The Church of the Almighty God engages in aggressive attempts to win converts and even resorts to violence in some instances. China has been intolerant of many aspects of life, including freedom of speech and democracy. However, it has been showing more religious tolerance, permitting a variety of faiths to exist, ranging from Judaism, Mormonism, Buddhism, and even Protestantism. Falun Gong is one of the few religions still experiencing severe persecution in the country. Despite government efforts to eradicate them, Falun Gong continues to persist, adapting in secrecy and organizing themselves as a kind of opposition party. Thanks to the crackdown, China remains free from religiously motivated agitators, unlike the Middle East or South America. However, some religious groups resort to aggressive behavior to win followers, as seen with the Church of the Almighty God. The group believes that Christ has been reborn as a female Chinese, and the Chinese Communist Party is Satan. In one instance, members of this group beat a woman to death after she refused to listen to their teachings. As China continues to clamp down on religion, new opposition groups could emerge and contribute to boiling conflicts in unexpected ways. The elusive democratization of China. While Western nations often assume that every nation is a democracy in the making, the reality is far more complicated. Despite impressive economic growth, democratization has proven elusive in many parts of the world, and China is a prime example. Unlike its neighbors Taiwan and South Korea, China has not embraced political reform, and instead, it has systematically weakened institutions that might foster democratic transition. China's future path, therefore, remains uncertain. North Korean-style totalitarianism destroys economic growth, while pure authoritarianism ultimately fails. The third option, favored by Taiwan, Mexico, and India, is reformist autocracy, in which the ruling party gradually opens up. However, China has yet to pursue any of these paths, and now faces rising nationalism and a difficult relationship with the international order. In this context, the U.S. must resist the urge to become more closed and remain a beacon of liberal values while keeping diplomatic doors open.
We can gather from Carl Minzner's End of an Era that China has chosen to tread the path of authoritarian revival, deviating from its anticipated democratic transformation. Dealing with issues such as escalating repression, economic slowdown, social mobility challenges, and institutional deterioration, China's trajectory raises concerns about its impact on global stability and international order. It is imperative that the United States remains diplomatically engaged with China so that moderate voices from both countries can jointly find ways to preserve an inclusive international order that values freedom and liberalism.